I'm going to get back to the movie in a second, but I'd like to ask, because I kind of know the story, the demo that got the deal for the love theme to Berry Gordy's Last Dragon.
Oh boy, that was a story. Yeah, I was signed to Joe Bad. It was actually Stone Diamond because that was the ASCAP company. With Misha Siegel, who wrote the music for that beautiful thing. And we were told by someone at the company that there was supposed to be a love song, and we wrote it, and she wasn't thrilled with the lyric, but I knew that she liked analogies, so I wrote another lyric called First Time on a Ferris Wheel, and we took it to Mr. Gordy in the middle of the night, as I recall. And he said, "What do you mean a love song? This movie doesn't have a love theme." And so we played it for him, and he threw the cushion he was sitting on the floor, and he gets on the phone, and he calls the head of TriStar in the middle of the night, says, "You've got to come over here right now. I'm rewriting the end of the movie for this song." I mean, this is such a great story. You know, I always wanted to tell it on Johnny Carson, but then he retired. But anyway, so sure enough, it ended up the end of the movie, and as she's going up, or he's going up, somebody's going up in a elevator or something, or in this, you remember the lift lifted them up, and they sang this song. Now, the trick was Carl Anderson, one of the greatest singers of all time. He died way too early. But he was singing the demo, and it was just magnificent. And he has one of those, well, he was Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar. He has one of those big voices that is like no other, you know.
Yes.
And Smokey Robinson sang it in the movie, and Smokey is a fabulous singer and writer, but it was a different kind of voice. So it was difficult to get the performance that Smokey really wanted to give the song, but it turned out fine. It's just that if you go on my website, on the front page, you can click on Carl Anderson singing First Time on a Ferris Wheel, and it will blow your mind. He then put it out on his own album. But anyway, it came out, and it was the love theme song for The Last Dragon, which has become kind of a cult-followed movie, you know. It's very funny. It's kind of a spoofy sort of movie, but it starred Vanity and this young man who was a kung fu expert. He was studying kung fu, and he was a virgin, and he lived in New York City, and he fell in love with Vanity. And I thought, what in the world do I have in common with this young African-American man? And I thought, well, I've fallen in love for the first time, so I tried to write what we had in common. And 30 people have sung it now, so apparently some sort of nerve was touched.
Roberta Flack did it too, right?
No, she did a song of mine called Happiness that I wrote with Smitty, William D. Smith.
Sorry.
But, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no, but Nancy Wilson, the jazz singer, and Gloria Loring sang the duet with Carl Anderson, and just a lot of people have sung it at weddings and all sorts of places and recorded it. But the definitive version was Carl Anderson.
Now, you said it was the demo, so on your website's the demo that you cut with Carl?
No, the demo was with Carl, and that's what got the deal on the movie. But then Carl recorded it himself on his next album with, I think it was Columbia or whatever label he was on, and had Gloria Loring sing the duet. It was a follow-up duet to Friends and Lovers that they had done.
Interesting. So can we ask how you got signed to Stone Diamond?
Well, I had been working with Hal Davis over there. Misha and I had been writing some songs and showing them to him. I went through an interesting period in the 80s because in the 70s, you know, I had written for Cold Gems, Green Gems, you know, EMI, and had made 3 albums for Russ Regan on 20th Century Records. Then when disco came in and I left the label and everything, I was kind of not sure what I wanted to do, so I met Misha Siegel, and he was a brilliant composer of the genre that he wrote in, but I kind of abandoned my own composing and just wrote lyrics for him. So during the period I was signed to Joe Bad, I'm not sure they even knew that I was a composer, although I did write a song for Berry Gordy as a gift that I wrote words and music for that he was very fond of. But anyway, so we got signed as a team, and that's how that happened. Hal Davis brought us in. I met Berry Gordy. He bought my existing catalog, which was a lot of my songs by myself and everything. And then we wrote for them for a few years. And then I left. And, I can't remember. I've had so many publishing deals, I can't remember if that was the last one or if there was another one after that.
I haven't seen Russ Reagan in 20 years.
Oh, I have. He's doing great.
Really? So, wow. I'll send you an email to tell him I said hi.
I will. I don't talk to him very often, but I just love him. And
He's great. So, okay, we'll get back to your movie in a second, but I want to ask, what was the demo that got the deal for Hollywood Town, 20th Century?
Well, I had just signed a publishing deal with Roger Gordon at Screen Gems Music, which was later EMI Music. And we made demos in the studio with David Carr and some people. We just, we were making demos. We didn't know. And he was the publisher, so he was in the studio too. So we took him to 20th, and Russ Reagan wanted to sign me, and he said, who produced the demos? Well, really, I guess Roger, but he was just sort of there, and they were head arrangements with chord charts, and David Carr had a lot to do with it, and I was playing the piano, and, whatever. So Roger ended up producing the album, and then he produced the second one. The point being that it was our publishing demos that got me the record deal, and I had two different record deals. I don't know if you know this, but I was signed to Columbia before I was signed to 20th. They had some humongous payola scandal, and so everyone got dropped. I was signed by Jack Gold, who was quite a brilliant man. He produced my Johnny Mathis record on a song of mine. But anyway, he had signed me, and then all of his acts got dropped. And he was right under Clive Davis.
Oh.
And whenever people would bring something to Jack, and Jack didn't like it, they would say, Jack, I think I'm going to have to go over your head on this one. And he would say, over my head and around my back, the two most traveled paths in America. That's how witty he was. He was amazing. And he just loved my writing, and I signed with him, and all I got out of it was a Peugeot, because when I got dropped, I just took the front money and ran. And then Cold Gems took me to Russ Reagan and played him the demos, and he said, oh, I definitely want to sign her, even though he had another female on the label. In those days you couldn't have more than one, but he broke the rule.
Well, the other female was on my show last week.
Really? Maureen McGovern?
Oh, no, Genya Raven.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think she was on there at that time.
Oh, okay, right, because it was another fellow who signed her, not Russ Reagan.
Yeah, and Patty Dahlstrom was on there around the same time. But the Maureen McGovern was the one who was signed when I was there.
Oh, the morning after.
Yeah. She was a writer, so it didn't really matter.
Okay, so now as a Harriet Schock fan, I want to know, was there music recorded at Columbia?
Or maybe she was a writer, now that I think about it. Anyway, she didn't write that, though. No, I didn't record anything for Columbia.
Oh.
Signed me, gave me some front money, and let me go.
Oh, again, history might have been different. They were so eager to promote artists.
Yeah, I know. It was a sad situation with 20th, because Russ Reagan was such a real music man. He was like, you could tell that the guy really knew. The problem was distribution. I would get fan letters when I did television shows. We can't find your records in the stores. And Rolling Stone said if Patty Hearst had wanted not to be found, she should have been on 20th Century Records.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's evil. But
And he created a great double record set with Helen Reddy on it, all this in World War II, the soundtrack.
Oh, that's right. I know he did.
And I gave it a great review on AMG.